Yo, what's good? I'm Marcus, the debt free dad, and welcome back to the channel. Over here, we talk finances and attorney reactions to current events. Today, we're going to dive into one of the more popular topics, Tiffany Henyard. We're going to dive into an interview that she did a little while ago with Roland Martin, and I'm going to give my reaction. Full candor, I've only watched about 5 minutes of this video, so the reaction that you get is going to be literally my real reaction. Hey, I always like to throw out the disclaimer, I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm not your attorney. So if you're looking for legal or financial advice, always seek a professional in your area. Now, this is interesting. Okay. I actually want to pull this up on the screen because one of my good friends, a subscriber, a family member to the channel, I was talking about this topic to him. And an interesting thing came up as we're talking about Roland Martin today. And I thought it was funny. And I was like, this will be a good segue since we're talking about a Roland Martin interview to get in. But have you all heard what's going on with Roland Martin actually? It was actually kind of hilarious. So let me go ahead and show y'all. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I want to show y'all. We're going to dive into the interview with Tiffany Henyard. But I want to pull this up so y'all can see. As I was doing research for the channel for tonight's episode, I did a search for Roland Martin on YouTube, and something interesting came up. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I guess it was it was kind of hilarious to see the commentary. Let me go share screen. Share. Okay, I don't know. Can y'all let me see if I got this up? Can y'all? This is the split screen I like to do right here. If y'all can see this, if y'all can see this screen, I got it right here. Roland Martin. I typed in Roland Martin's name into the actual search box, and all the items that came up: Roland Martin unfiltered. Then the next one was interesting: Roland Martin man buns video. And I was like, "What the?" I was like, "What the hell is that?" As I'm looking for the Roland Martin interview, and my boy tells me about it, and I go and do some search. But apparently, Roland Martin had a little bit of a production snafu this week or earlier this week where he was doing his live stream video on his show. And as he was trying to upload a clip, apparently the clip they uploaded on the screen was like a picture of a guy's just naked ass on the screen. And now everybody's going in. It was actually hilarious. One, it's a crazy production mistake considering he probably got a production team. But two, he actually had posted a comment kind of explaining what it was. Apparently, I guess the video was of some like nudist dating show or something like that. But I thought it was funny. Some of the thumbnails were hilarious. I was like, Roland Martin man bun video. What the hell is that? And you go, look, did, did Roland Martin just show a man buns on his live stream? But this was like a whole trending topic earlier in the week. And I thought it was relatively interesting. Yeah, I see it. I got your chat in here. I thought it was relatively interesting considering we're going to be looking at a Roland Martin video. So we're about to dive into this video because I don't want to take it. The video like 40 minutes, and I'm gonna be doing some commentary on it. Before we watch the video, just a little bit of a background. I'm a licensed attorney. I've been in the game for a little over, yeah, over a little over 14 years, almost 15 years. Defense work, criminal investigations, prosecutions, white collar crimes, financial frauds. All of that is kind of my area of expertise. Defrauding federal programs, healthcare fraud, pharmaceutical, off label marketing, all of this nerdy stuff that isn't like any of the cool stuff like entertainment law. But I do have a lot of experience when it comes to investigations, fraud, white collar crimes, things like that. In addition, I also have, I can't even think of the number of hours of training as it relates to interviews and interrogations, reading body language, how to conduct an effective interview, a cross examination, interrogation, how to identify cues for lack of veracity in a witness or someone you conduct an interview on. So we're going to talk about all of this in the video. Shout out to you, Justin, for the first chat of the night. And yes, the chat does work. Let's go ahead and cue the video up. We're gonna watch this video. Let's go to I think that's a little bit better camera angle. All right, so let's go and dive in. We're going, hey, this is a reaction channel. There's always one person in the chat who say, like, yo, you talk too much. Dude, there's a big ass yellow oval on the top of the thumbnail to say attorney reaction. If you just want to watch the video, go to Roland Martin's channel and watch the video. I got to give that out as a disclaimer. Let's go ahead and dive in.
My next guest has made national headlines. You've had news outlets from all around the country writing about her, talking about her, which is sort of rare when you are the mayor of a small town in Chicago.
Civil rights law related to criminal thing, right to counsel, search and seizures, all of those criminal things, I got a substantial amount of knowledge in. If you're talking about any type of, civil rights thing outside of those, I generally know about it. I can research about it. I've had some formalized training on it, but I wouldn't call that an area of expertise. Just as an FYI. I mean, I'm not a jack of all trades.
Tiffany Henyard is the mayor of Dolton, Illinois. And there have been all sorts of stories written, folks talking about what she wears, talking about her conduct, allegations about spending, you name it. There's been lots of drama, if you will. She joins us right now. I'm glad to have you here in studio. And so first off, so there are a couple of things. You're the mayor of Dolton, and then also there's a township. So explain to folks the difference between those two.
All right, so real quick, before we finish watching, this video was uploaded about 6 months ago. So I know a lot of y'all in the chat, y'all schooled me to the Tiffany Henyard game because y'all been following this story a lot longer than DFD has. But about 6 months ago, where were we? There were already allegations of misappropriation of funds and using government funds for personal expenses and trips. There were all of those things out there. There were battles related to FOIA requests. At this time, documents hadn't been turned over yet because it subsequently took an actual court order to get those documents after they had some FOIA litigation. But right now, 6 months ago, the specter was clear. Everybody kind of knew what the allegations were. There wasn't any fire, but there's damn sure a lot of smoke, just so we can get a time frame of where Tiffany Henyard was in her career. She's been sitting in this position for a while. She's aware of what's going on. She's aware of all of the allegations. And this is about the time when she starts to lose a lot of allies when it comes to the Board of Trustees.
And what your jobs are.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you allow me a platform to speak my truth. I'm the mayor of Dolton. I got elected in 2021, becoming the first female mayor of Dolton and the youngest. And then I got appointed to supervisor a year later. So a mayor, we are all about services. So cut trees down, sidewalks, things of that nature. Supervisor, I even help bury your loved ones. I pay mortgage, I pay rent. It's a resource center. So
okay,
that's the difference.
So Dolton is a town about 20,000.
I think that's funny that you describe your duties as the mayor. And as the mayor of anything, village, township, small city, you describe your duties and you talk about cutting down trees and mowing lawns. That's actually kind of wild. The mayor is responsible for a lot more than cutting down trees and lawns. The mayor is the executive who's in charge of essentially everything. More importantly, the economic infrastructure, law enforcement, safety, crime, those types of things. Her truth, not the truth. Shout out to you. That's definitely a good point. I thought it was just odd as how she described the duties of the mayor as things that are really minute. The things she named are the least important duties that a mayor, no matter how big the township or the municipality is, those are the least important opportunities, the least important tasks that a mayor does, which is what she named.
How large is the township? Township covers what?
I cover 190,000 residents. Okay. I'm over 17 towns.
Okay. So, yes. And for the township, are those elected positions or appointed positions?
Yes, it's elected. My predecessor passed away and I was appointed to his seat, therefore taking the rest of his term.
Okay. And for the different jobs, so Dolton pays you what as mayor, township pays you what?
Sure. So my mayor position is $50,000, which was already there. And my township position is 224, which was already there. When I got sworn into either seat, it came with the salary, which everybody prior to me received.
Now, are both of those deemed full-time jobs?
Well, no, part-time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's first deal with Dolton. So
Sure.
your critics say that you have a significant security detail. First of all, how large is your police department in Dolton, and what is your security detail?
So we have about 45 officers in our village. My security is warranted due to the fact of threats and things of that nature. But what people are not stating is it's in our CBA. That's our collective bargaining agreement. That's our union contract. So it comes with the seat. That's what people are not saying. I didn't make this up. I didn't just create this and say, I want security.
How many officers is it?
How many officers is what?
On security detail.
I'm not going to say how many.
All right. That's funny that she wouldn't say how many. But I think the point that a mayor is entitled to some type of security is a legitimate point. Even if it's of a small township, there's always some BS, some drama going on. So I think that's fair. I think he asked the actual right question. Hey, how many people are in your detail? How many people were in the security detail of your predecessor? I can guarantee you, I don't even know the answer to the question, and it looks like she's not going to answer it, but I can guarantee you the predecessor didn't have a detailed security entourage as large and expansive that requires 3 brand new Tahoes, luxury Tahoes. I'm pretty sure of that. But I will tell you, I think that it's smart for her not to ask the question. I mean, I'm not a security expert. I have performed security services during my time in the military being deployed. That's essential operational information. I wouldn't want to disclose how many officers I got guarding the president. That would absolutely be batshit crazy. So even though she didn't answer the question, I think there's a legitimate reason as to why she didn't answer the question. Tiffany was at a government committee meeting asking for money in the beginning of the charity, claiming that she was the founder. Let's see. The duties she described are what my maintenance supervisor. That's a hey, shout out to you, CV. Shout out to you. I think that's a completely I think that's a completely fair point. When you're the mayor and you describe your duties as landscaper, like that's something that the homeowners association should take off. Yeah. She has 24-hour security that cost over millions last year. Yeah, I guarantee you her predecessor in either position did not have a security detail as expansive. But I wouldn't, one, if I were her attorney, I would tell you don't answer any questions about the detail. But just from a security infrastructure operations standpoint, it would be a terrible idea. Like, hey, Mr. President, how many Secret Service agents are guarding you at all times? Why would you divulge that information? You're just trying to make yourself a target. So I'm not really going to hold that against her for not answering the question. But I do think it's a little, I don't think her response is a strategical response due to the security protocols. I think her response is more of an avoidance to identify the actual cost associated with her overinflating the need for security.
To the threats on my life. So,
but if it's in your CBA,
it is in my CBA. I'm not doing anything wrong. I even went to court due to the fact of people suing me saying I cannot have a security detail, and I won. The judge said I can't have a security detail because it's already in a CBA.
Okay, and so that's one of the issues there. You have other trustees who suggested that the city is in a deficit. What is the state of the city's finances?
So we are in a deficit, but it's not what everybody's claiming it to be.
All right. The fact that she said that we are in a deficit, but it's not what people are claiming it to be. And just let's just from a legal standpoint, and you're talking about evidence, anything that you say out in the public forum has the actual ability and the possibility to be brought in. And if it were me, I would assert that, hey, this is a mayor. She's making a statement in her professional capacity. We can use this statement as evidence to prove the truthfulness or the non-truthfulness of whatever fact that I want to prove as a prosecutor. So you can't deny that there is a deficit if there is one. But the problem with that is, hey, when you say we are at deficit. Now that we know 6 months later, according to the Lightfoot report, we know how big the deficit is and how large of a damn swing. It was a crazy swing from the amount of surplus to where they are now. So that's definitely a statement that could be used against her interest, I think.
They're going around with false allegations of 5 million, 7 million, 8 million. It's all false. Our deficit is $2 million.
$2 million.
$2 million.
And what's your annual budget?
Our annual budget is $30 million.
$3 million? $30 million.
Yep.
And so what led to that deficit?
So it comes from them not paying bills. So say, for instance, we have a board meeting and they say, well, we're going to pull this out, pull that out. If they continue to pull bills out later on.
Real quick, I just wanted to highlight this comment right here. There was no serious threat to her life. She just wanted an entourage to do her bidding. That was another thing I thought of. I'm glad you brought that point up. She makes more than the governor of Illinois and has more security than him as well. A lot of times, the scope of the security detail is based on the nature of the threat. If you can't prove that there's an active threat on your life, there would be no reason. There would be no reason for enhanced security outside of what the previous person got. That would actually be a good thing. Y'all let me know in the comments because y'all all privy to this. Y'all deep dive in it. Y'all let me know what her predecessor security detail looked like, if any. They could have not had a security detail. It's quite possible. But if y'all got any information, y'all let me know in the chat.
Oh, what do you have? A deficit. Because the bills still due. Just like us not paying our mortgage or not paying our life. We still owe the money at the end of the month.
When you say they, who's they?
The trustees, the board. Because the board is the one that votes to pay the bills.
So so you have two types of government out there. You got strong mayor, city council, then you have city manager form of government. So mayor and the trustees control the city's finances.
Well, yes, when it comes to the budget, just the budget.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So in terms of who's deciding to pay the bills, so this deficit that you have, you're saying that's a result of the trustees not paying the city's bills?
Correct.
But do you have the resources?
Yes.
To pay the bills?
Yes.
So how's there a deficit?
Because they won't pay the bills. So
that was that was actually a great question. Shout out to him. Let me hit some of these comments up. There was no serious threat to her life. And the Lightfoot report isn't complete, and it reached to a period prior to this interview. That's correct. It was a preliminary report, a preliminary investigation, because they didn't have all the subpoena information, because they didn't have all the FOIA requested information, because they wouldn't respond to anything. But he actually asked a very good question. I mean, I'm gonna give him credit. Let me rewind this back because I want y'all to catch this. If we start with a surplus, okay, the community of DFD starts with a surplus. And now we're at a deficit. And I say, why is there a deficit? And you say, because they won't pay the bills. If they aren't paying the bills, that doesn't account for an actual deficit. That means that money would actually still be there. And the bills would have to be more than the amount of surplus that we have on hand for them to be a deficit. So that was actually a really good question. That's pretty much cross-examination 101. Let's see if we could catch that.
You're saying that's a result of the trustees not paying the city's bills?
correct.
The city's finances.
Bills out later on. What do you have? A deficit, because the bills still due. Just like us not paying our mortgage or not paying our light bill. We still owe the money at the end of the month.
When you say they, who's they?
The trustees, the board. Because the board is the one that votes to pay the bills.
So so you have two types of government out there. You got strong mayor, city council. So then you have city manager form of government. So mayor, trustees control the city's finances.
Well, yes, when it comes to the budget, just the budget.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So in terms of who's deciding to pay the bills, so this deficit that you have, you're saying that's a result of the trustees not paying the city's bills?
Correct.
But do you have the resources?
Yes.
To pay the bills?
Yes.
So how's there a deficit?
Because they won't pay the bills. So it's still on our books. Until we release the check and pay the bill, we still count it as a deficit.
So you say, so you have the money to pay the bills.
Correct.
You're saying your fellow trustees won't pay the bills.
Correct.
Why?
I'll give you prime example, just to make me look.
All right, real quick, that shit don't make any sense whatsoever. That response doesn't make any sense. Clearly she didn't have any counsel before this interview. You already know what the questions are going to be about. The budget, the spending, maybe the people you appoint. I haven't even watched the shit. The budget, the spending, the expenses, the security, everything that you see on the news is what they're going to ask you about. So you actually have to have a canned response to address these questions that you know are going to come up. That was a terrible response. With regard to her body language, I don't know if it's terrible because I think it's consistent with how she started the interview off. When she started the interview off, she was already like this. Her body language was tight, it was closed in. It'd have been different if it would have been a wide body language like this. And then she asked questions, she kind of leaned forward and closed in. I mean, it's in order to really get a cue on somebody's body language, you have to have what the baseline is. So normally what you would do, and it's the same if someone takes a polygraph exam, they'll put something around your waist to measure your breathing. They'll put something on your fingers. They'll put a couple of pads on you to measure your sweat glands, because all of these things are physiological cues. And normally what you would do if you were doing an interview and you were really trying to, get into the physiological reactions that a person has when they're recalling truthful information versus false information, you would start the interview out by asking questions about where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? You would ask all these questions that would have to force you to recall information, but nobody would lie on. One I always like to ask if I was doing like an interview is, hey, where did you grow up? What elementary school did you go to? What was your favorite subject in school? Because nobody's going to lie about those questions. So any cues that they give you when you ask that question are probably going to be their natural reaction to trying to recall old information that's actually truthful. So now you will have a baseline. But that was a terrible answer to that question. And he actually asked, she's using Terrence Howard math. Yeah, Terrence Howard is wow. She's using that Billy Carson math. Let's go ahead and jump back into the video.
Yes.
To pay the bills.
Yes.
So how's there a deficit?
Because they won't pay the bills. So it's still on our books until we release the check and pay the bill. We still count it as a deficit.
So you say, so you have the money to pay the bills.
Correct.
You're saying your fellow trustees won't pay the bills.
Correct.
Why?
I give you prime example, just to make me look bad. I give you prime example. My job is to govern. That's what a mayor does. I'm an executive branch, they're the legislative branch. When I go get money and bring back to our community many grants, they refuse to pay things for residents. I created a roof and window program. They would not vote to pay the vendors to fix the roof and windows for our seniors and our veterans. Why? The money's there, it's in a bank account, you can see it. Why would they not pay the bill? So therefore, that program got on hold. These are things I created when I became the mayor of Dolton. But yet, people don't see your vision. It's people trying to take over government, and I won't allow it. They didn't do it prior to the other mayor having it. Why didn't nobody do any of the things they doing to me?
So when all of this began, this not paying of the city's bill?
So it's funny.
It literally makes no sense. Her answer is probably one of the worst answers that she gave. We're in a deficit because they won't pay the bills with the money that we have. In order for there to be deficits, there has to be excess of money going out and either stagnant or lower money coming in. Otherwise, if it's just we got a tub of money, these are the bills, we aren't paying them, you can move that money over to pay the bills, and you should either have a little bit of a surplus or worst case scenario, be even. Hey, we had $1 million, we paid $1 million worth of bills, now we're at zero, we're starting at scratch. So that was a terrible response. I think he's asking the right questions in this. I think he's asking the right questions so far, because I saw people telling me that it was a softball interview, but I think that was a good question. I wouldn't call it a softball interview thus far, considering the allegations and things that were going on at this time. Lightfoot only found a negative $3.65 million in general funds so far when it started, with a surplus of $5.5 million. She's still holding $6 million of approved checks. Yeah. So think about it. That's crazy. $5.5 million to negative $3+ million. You're talking about over $8 million swing. That $5 million plus the $3 million to put you in the negative, over $8 million swing. Let's see. Tiffany loves money. No contracts. No bid. No bid contracts is the biggest finesse of all. And most times they are actually illegal. I don't know what their rules say, but most states have rules with contracts over a certain dollar amount. It has to be a bidding process. But if it's under a certain dollar amount, it could be like a direct appoint contract. Yeah, I thought the shortage included the uncashed checks in this calculation. Tiffany tried to do the same thing as the trustees are doing to the previous mayor. I don't believe so. Okay. All right, let's go and jump back to the video.
Right when I became mayor. So that showed me right then and there that the plot was to remove me from office. Other mayor having it.
All right, here we go right now. We see this is going. This is going with the blame game and the pointing fingers. She already said, yo, the trustees won't release the money. That's the reason for the deficit, which just doesn't make any mathematical sense. If we take what she's saying into an actual formula, that wouldn't make any sense. But now she's further finger pointing at the trustees. Let's go.
Why did nobody do any of the things they doing to me?
So when all of this began, this not paying of the city's bills?
So it's funny you asked that question. That's a great question. All this turmoil started right when I became mayor. So that showed me right then and there that the plot was to remove me from office. Right in the beginning, I wasn't even in office for a good month before my board started to sit here and start to try to remove me from my seat that I earned and won by 82%. Remind you, 82%.
It was 82%, but it was like 800 or 1,000 people who voted. Very low turnout for the overall voting numbers we talked about. But is that correct? I don't think that's correct. She said that immediately after she was elected, the trustees were like trying to get her out. And I feel like she had a lot of support early on. Now, I don't know if that was support, if it was genuine support or if it was kickbacks and promises support, but I felt like she had a lot of support early on in her tenure until people realized that either she was A, corrupt, or B, she wasn't following up with promises that she had promised certain persons. Y'all let me know, but I don't think that that's correct that they instantly tried to do it. Yeah. That she never showed proof of those grants.
Taking out an incumbent that had to see prior to me.
So when your fellow trustees, let's say Kiana Belcher, she's quoted as saying mismanagement of funds. You're saying, no, it's not mismanagement. They're just not paying bills.
That's correct.
And so when you hear that from her, then what's the response? And if that's the case, have you released publicly the list of bills that they don't pay?
Yes.
And where's that?
So that is normally on my website, or it is on my social media platform. And I verbally said at board meetings, you can see it when they go and they take out bills, they verbally tell you what they're taking out. Therefore, people can just add it up in the council meeting. So you can know and you can follow exactly what bills they're not paying. And it adds up. Eventually you get to $1 million, then $2 million. And then also they have legal bills of $2 million of suing me for different reasons.
Yeah, and that's a good point. She actually, because I looked up, like, how did she even get in this position to begin with? And she literally ran a campaign based on transparency. Like, we need somebody who's showing us transparency, where the spending, where the money is going. I actually looked up some videos of her as a trustee, and she was on the correct side, in my opinion, of a lot of arguments. As a trustee, she was on the correct side of a lot of arguments. I don't know what the hell happened as mayor, but as trustee, I looked up a lot of videos where there were arguments and she was actually on the right side. Can't receive state funds due to no state required audit. That's why they never received that $6.8 million grant, but claiming it and spending it like she did. Yeah, they have to turn in that CAFR report annually, and they failed to do so. But yeah, I don't think that. I don't think she had trustees and everyone against her immediately when she came on the scene. I think that's something that happened a little bit over time. And she says she needs to get different trustees so she can fix shit. A new board that doesn't question anything.
Social media platform. And I verbally said at board meetings, you can see it when they go and they take out bills, they verbally tell you what they're taking out. Therefore, people can just add it up in the council meeting. So you can know and you can follow exactly what bills they're not paying. And it adds up. Eventually you get to $1 million, then $2 million. And then also they have legal bills of $2 million of suing me for different reasons, like what you're saying to you.
Who's
the trustees? They take me to court for anything they say, right? Then we go to court and I won. I won over 24 cases. Yesterday I just got word I won another case. So I'm 25-0. So how is it possibly the mayor of Dolton? People got to pause and think like, dang, she keep winning. If she keep winning, we got to look at the trustees.
So she going further into the blame game, but I thought this was a good comment. I wanted to shout out Keisha. This was actually a good comment. She was a trustee to learn how to steal. There were videos I witnessed where she was a trustee and she talked about scams that were going on with regard to persons making water payments, persons registering vehicles and getting certain stamps and cash payments that were going on. So she was clearly aware of how people were getting cash payments, even though these particular agencies stopped accepting cash payments like years ago. But I also think that this comment is good because it's completely counter to her argument that she's been making and her lawyer's been making relatively over the last 2 weeks, that she was just doing whatever Keith Freeman said do. Like, come on, you've been in this political game long enough to know how things operate. So I think that was a good point. So the trustees won't pay the unapproved bills, non-contract work. Yep, and she can't blame Freeman for her ignorance as someone in the local municipality political arena because right here, she was a trustee. She was a trustee, I think, for 8 years. So she had enough general understanding. Having 24 cases is not winning. I mean, having 24 cases and not being convicted yet is kind of a win. Now, once convictions start to fall down, then I'm going to agree with you. But why they pending cases don't mean anything until the actual hammer goes down. Let's see. Based on a few older clips, she was campaigning for the people as their champion. She was more than aware of the functions of the trustee and the mayoral office. This crazy lady just hired an ex non-child. Yeah, I agree. We talked about that, and I was unaware of the background until I actually saw the video live with you all. And it is an absolute shit show to hire somebody like that in any capacity. Even though, hey, I get it, you want to give people a second chance, but not people with those types of backgrounds when you're in a political arena, especially when you got all this other shit going on. Maybe if you're in politics and you don't got a lot going on, I could understand. But when you got a lot of shit going on, you don't want to do anything that's going to cause any more questions. That's kind of would be my approach.
They're the ones that's spending the money on legal bills. Their attorney, which is legislative counsel. No, for
so
what?
You're saying that the trustees are not paying bills.
Correct.
In addition, by them constantly suing you, they're now piling up legal bills. Correct. And that is what's also contributing to the deficit of the
That's correct. And then we also had contracts that was needed to be negotiated when I came in office for police, for fire, and for public works. So once we negotiate some of those contracts, of course, that adds to the deficit because now you got to increase people pay. And we've done that. You got retro pay, you got all kinds of things that take into account. But what they're not telling you is what I'm telling you here. People got to state facts so people understand. Right now, just to throw this out there, throw that out there, and no facts to back it up.
What I'm trying to understand is this is not a large city. Mm-hmm. Okay, I spent 6 years in Chicago, so whether you're talking about Dolton, Harvey, we're not talking about large cities. Right. There's a whole lot of drama for a town of 20,000 people.
I agree, but it's led by one person.
Who?
Their legislative counsel. He wanted to take me out of my seat.
Who is that?
That is Bert Oderson.
That's hilarious. It's led by one person. Who? And she like the legislative counsel. So she's blaming the attorney for the legislature that's hilarious. I thought that was funny. I don't know if y'all caught that. Led by one person. I thought the one person that she was gonna say was her.
It's not a large city. Mm-hmm. Okay, I spent 6 years in Chicago, so whether you're talking about Dolton, Harvey, we're not talking about large cities. Right. There's a whole lot of drama for a town of 20,000 people.
I agree, but it's led by one person.
Who?
Their legislative counsel. He wanted to take me out of my seat.
Who is that?
That is Bert Oderson.
So you think all this is because he wants to beat you?
Damn, Bert Odinson. Damn, she like, damn, this dude, she throwing shots at Bert. Bert, like, what did I do? Y'all let me know. I haven't heard Bert's name since I've been looking at this, but I'm new to the Tiffany Henyard game. Y'all let me know. Has Bert's name, Legislative Council, came up before this that I'm not aware of since I'm relatively new to the game? I'm like, damn, she throwing shots, man. Yeah, this was 6 months ago. Yeah, you got to watch the intro when we talked about Roland and his faux pas that went on this show. She only talked about grants covering their spending. The Lightfoot report gave so many charges they spent sending money on included ridiculous police overtime, and I agree. You can't say the deficit is solely because they aren't paying the bills and they're accumulating litigation. Even if they were accumulating litigation, the litigation is because of you, because they're suing you for stuff that you're doing incorrectly or illegally or wrong, really, pretty much. But I thought that was interesting that she said, "Oh, this is one person's control," and she just threw the legislative council under the bus. And I've never heard of his name until this.
Their legislative council. He want to take me out of my seat.
Who is that?
That is Bert Odinson.
So you think all of this is because he wants to beat you?
Yes, he wants the position of corporate counsel.
Explain that.
Corporate counsel is the one that run the day-to-day for a village. They're the one that sit next to the mayor at the board meetings, and they basically have all the lawsuits. So anybody that sues our village, he will be the person that go and defend it. So it's all about contract. It's all about a power grab. That's all it is.
So is he a fellow? He's a trustee?
No. He's the trustees legislative council. So they use him to fight against me. So I'll give you another example. They just had a secret squirrel meeting. What I mean by secret squirrel meeting, an illegal meeting they had at our park district. When they had our park district,
When you say it's a legal meeting, why are you calling it a legal meeting?
Because they cannot go and have quorum. That's the open meeting violation of 4.
Okay, this is actually funny because 1, she just rolled Bert under the bus. 2, she's very familiar with the Open Meetings Act, which she just recently got censured by the Attorney General of the state for violating the Open Meetings Act. So this is why you don't do stuff without counsel, and why you probably shouldn't be doing interviews when you got a shit show just going on around you. Because as slick as you think you are going to say something that's going to come back and kick you in the ass and going to be counter to your interest. And that was actually a big one. She literally just 2 weeks ago, a week ago, the AG was like, "Yo, you violating the Open Meetings Act." And she just said, "Hey, they violated the Open Meetings Act." So now she's clearly aware of what it is. And if she was violating it, you're violating something that you know exists because you just told us that you're aware of what the rule is and how it should and shouldn't be used. That's crazy, actually. Let me see. Contracts is always the way to go. I tell y'all, if somebody brought me in to audit any government facility, all I want to look at is the contracts. Show me all of the contracts that you all did in the last 10 to 12 months. And literally the first thing I would do is I would search all the contracts. This is how simple it is. Trust me, I've done this before and I've seen this before. I would literally go to the contracts for the last 12 to 18 months, look at all the recipient of the contracts, and I would just do a search for people who have names similar to the mayor and to the persons on the council. It sounds so simple, but I've seen no bid contracts given to family members with the same name like nobody would figure it out. It's really stupid. Yeah, really, really stupid. Tiffany's job is to chair the meetings and call the vote. Let me see. There are 2 regular meetings a month for Dolton. Tiffany refuses to attend the second one and has locked trustees and citizens out. They have to hold these squirrel meetings elsewhere. She's trying to fit 46. She's trying to fix 46 narratives into one interview. She should get the Guinness World Record for this alone. That's fair, but she is purportedly, according to the AG, violated the Open Meetings Act. And 6 months ago, she just acknowledged that she's aware of what it is and how it actually works. Yeah, why are they not paying the contracts off for purchase orders? Wouldn't that help control the spending? Well, it's twofold. Because if I'm the trustees, if she already has a habit of spending money illegally, misappropriating it, using it for her personal gain, I wouldn't want to release any funds to any contracts until I had a chance to actually review those contracts. I want to know who the contractors are, make sure they aren't any kickback actions or going on, making sure it's not a good old finesse. And you see these finesses all the time. Somebody will make a company 6 months later to apply for a contract that they get handed. Is all a finesse. So I can see why there would be valid reasons for like the council, the trustees not to approve payments in light of the issues with how she's spending money. That I mean, I can understand the rationale behind it.
People, they do that every time. So now they're trying to have their own separate government. When we have board meetings, it's the first of every month.
Yeah,
Monday.
First of all, official board meetings have to be posted.
Correct.
Have you filed any complaints with the state attorney general?
Yes.
Saying they are meeting illegally?
Yes. So we working on that. Meaning we posted it and we filed it. So now we're just waiting on the response. So once we get the response, we will share with the public.
Yes,
but you can't sit
we're
here and have
working
your
on that. That means you ain't filed shit. Yeah, she capping. This lady be giving away 60-inch TVs at senior bingo. Her contracts are rigged for her benefit. She has stolen state property. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. Somebody left a comment on the video earlier because I said that her little bingo things were smart. And they were like, you can't, it's like, how you going to give this lady credit as a thief and a liar? And I was like, hey, you could be a liar and a thief and a murderer for all I know, but you can still do one thing right. I think it's actually very, very smart of her to target the senior citizen community, considering less than 1,200 people actually voted in the election. Less than 1,200 people actually voted. And of that 1,200, what percentage do you think are over the age of 65? I guarantee you it's high as hell. So, I mean, hey, I'm not I'm not a supporter of Tiffany Henyard, but I do think that that's actually a smart approach considering what we're dealing with here. I watch her older meetings as a trustee. She has a great handle of her rules of engagement. She may talk stupid, but I generally agree with that. I can tell that she's not unaware of what's going on in procedural processes just from watching some of those old trustee meetings myself. Yeah, the Holmes and Dalton are too old for 60-inch televisions.
separate government. We either gonna get along or we're not. But we're not gonna get along. You wait till election time, and therefore you run against me. That's how this go. But yet you put all this negativity in our village, putting everybody in danger, and I don't appreciate that.
When you say putting everyone in danger, how so?
Like you have people that come out from New York, people that come from all over and fly into our town just to get stories and follow us around. And then they go in our village halls, harass our residents, harass our staff. So it's become more than what people are seeing.
So you're saying, because of the attacks on you, you had stories in the New York Post, Fox News, other places, and you're saying all of that has contributed to these attacks directly on you and residents.
Correct.
You've been talk about the threats that you've had to deal with.
Oh, wow. Tons of threats. It's in email, it's in text form, it's on voicemail. People come to our village and threaten us. People have been arrested for coming and threatening us. It's all types of things it's a record of that warrants why we need security. And it's sad because people got to understand, I am a single Black parent with a daughter, 4-year-old, that go in and out of my house. You got people pulling up, taking pictures. You even got that trustee, that Kiana Belcher, came to my house, took pictures of my house, and then spread it out, gave it to everybody, causing me and my family to be in much danger.
I mean, it's not illegal to take a picture of somebody's house. It's just like, there's no, there's no expectation of privacy from, I mean, hell, Google Maps take a picture of your house. The Uber delivery dude take a picture of your house after he dropped the shit off. So, yeah, I don't know. I would like to see maybe a redacted version of some of these threats that she's gotten. I just don't think I question the truthfulness of that statement, because if you had all of these threats on your life, that would be the first thing I would put out on Front Street. I would be like, yo, I would go to law enforcement. tell them about all of these threats. I wouldn't just get security. I would be like, plaster that over the news, all these threats that I'm getting, to make it look like I actually need all of this shit. So I don't know about the truthfulness of the threats that she said that she received. Let's see. She didn't do anything. Minimum of 30% of those being voters, which is a significant percentage of voter when it comes to voter numbers. I'm telling y'all, like, yeah, y'all think, like, I was actually about to put up a poll question on this video in the chat. Like, if she makes it to election without getting an indictment or being incarcerated, I don't think that this election is going to be a blowout. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's going to be closer than what y'all think. I think it's going to be closer than what y'all think. I think the seniors in the bingo population, I think the seniors in the bingo population are going to do what they do. They're going to come out because they the ones who've been getting what they perceive as free stuff, even though the taxpayers is paying for it. I've been backtracking for the last 6 years, following her progression. I believe she has a mental disorder of grandeur. Yeah. Hey, it's possible. Bert is the trustees lawyer. Okay, these politicians become greasy, causing their own downfall. Generally, I don't trust any politician. I would just be honest. Her mother's address is well known. It is an address. I could take pictures of anybody's house if I elect to do so.
And these are the things we reported, we talk about, we tell people. It's just a vindictive against me, and I don't appreciate it at all. I just don't.
When you look at how you're being framed, you are being called crazy, deranged, saying that you are stealing funds. You also you have a charity that from the Attorney General's office as a cease and desist letter to your foundation.
I don't know nothing about that. I'm not crazy. I'm not
You have
deranged.
Tiffany Henyard Cares, your foundation. So the Attorney General's office hasn't reached out to you regarding your foundation?
So I want to set the record straight. I don't have a foundation. I am a supporter of anybody that's struggling with cancer. My mom had breast cancer, and I'm always push anybody that has that. If someone uses my name to push their charity, or if you say this is Tiffany t-shirt, people gonna buy it, because right now I'm considered what? Clickbait. People make money off of my name by views. So you just say my name.
Don't have a, you say you don't have a
I do not. And that's why I tell everybody, go do your research. I'm not on anything.
So when we see all of this back and forth, when we see this going back and forth, have you, and I've seen this happen before with school districts, I've seen this happen before with city councils, have you called in the state to come mediate?
Did I call in the state?
Have you reached out to the state to come in and mediate what's going on here? So I've seen school boards where you have lots of drama, and Texas Education Agency, comes in and deals with that. You're having these issues there. Have you reached out to state lawmakers? Have you reached out to state representatives, senators to say, hey, how can we resolve these issues? Because if they're not paying bills, if legal fees are piling up, that's just more taxpayer money being spent.
Correct. And yes, we have. So maybe 2 people might have reached out to us in the beginning. We was doing kumbaya. We was having meetings. We was talking about what we have an issue with one another. The sad thing is, it just reminded me of high school. It's just a he, she say thing. Well, I don't like you because of this, or I don't understand this. It was more of that than basically taking care of the business of the town. We got elected to serve. That's it. We didn't get elected to make sure we like one another. And that's why I get upset with people.
All right, real quick, I want to pause here because I want to go through some of the comments. But I thought it was interesting that she actually said that. I was actually impressed with her body language as it relates to being asked about her charity foundation, about her charitable organization, how she doesn't have one and her name isn't on the paperwork. I was literally waiting to pause it because I was expecting to see a large deviation in her body movement. The only thing that I saw, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, was she was sitting with her hands closed like this, and she kind of leaned out as she explained it. But it wasn't anything that was a substantial departure from what she's been doing the whole interview. And hey, for somebody who appears to be being disingenuous about some of the facts, that is that's actually pretty impressive to do, to maintain the same body structure, the same physiological composure as you're telling about it. Because now, again, this is 6 months ago. Now we know all the information about the charitable organization. We know who it was, who it benefited. We know who specifically the attorney general contacted to say you can no longer receive donations, because we don't know where the donations are actually going. Let's see. She thinks she's outsmarted everyone. Most criminals do. Most criminals think they're the smartest person in the room. This is where Roland failed as a credible journalist. Don't ask questions without the answer in your hand, just like lawyers. No, I think a journalist can ask questions without the answer. I think the issue is he doesn't answer the correct follow-up. So, like, let's see, as a journalist, if I say, hey, don't you have a charitable organization? And you say, no, I don't have a charitable organization. The charitable organization isn't even in my name. My next question as a journalist, not as an attorney, I would ask, well, your name is on the charitable organization, right? Okay, so the people who formulated or created this charitable organization, do you know them? Do you have any relationship with them? Is it your family since your mother had cancer? That is actually the next question that should have been asked, I think, if he were doing good probative questions to try to get to what was going on. There are protesters for the young lady unveiled unalived by the police, and then the other lady who was sexually. Don't do that. SA, thank you. I should have read it. I should have said it how you wrote it. YouTube is wild in Vegas, and people are mad because she is not investigating neither incident. Yeah, I mean, if it's a SA situation, she wouldn't be obligated to. I wouldn't advise her to investigate it. It's not her job to investigate something like that. It's actually, if it occurred in Vegas, it would probably be an investigation that would start in Vegas. Because it occurred in Vegas, they were at a hotel. All the cameras, all the footage, all the event occurred in Vegas. Every time I look off camera, I'm seeing what this daggone dog is doing. But that would probably be where the investigation should actually start. Let's see. Yeah, this was a bad interview. We knew that when people were so mad about Roland. Yeah, he doesn't answer the right question. The fact that she sat almost like stone with a point blank lie shows how she has crafted her responses in case of questions. It represents her sociopath. Hey, I'm not gonna say she's a sociopath. What I will say is, for being asked questions that we know are disingenuous, because this is 6 months old, she had pretty good body language and body structure. Like, you can hardly really tell that, like, there's a big deviation from something that may be truthful versus something that we know is actually false.
People that are in government, I want them to put their difference to the side and do what's right for the people. That's it. That's why I'm in the seat, because I care about my town. I won by 82% because people know and they saw me doing the work.
So so let's talk about, because I've read different stories and I'm trying to understand what they mean. So let's talk about a meeting. Your critics say you came dressed up as Nino Brown playing Bitch Better Have My Money. Did that happen?
Oh, wow. Okay, so let me clear that up so we can understand. I did not come as Nino Brown. I did a scene for Martin. One thing I am, I'm young. So I tried to.
Yes. I didn't come in as Nino Brown. I came in as Martin when he was dressed as Nino Brown. He came in as Nino Brown. and you can't use I don't know. Everybody really does refer to her as young. I guess that's because of the type of arena that she is. She's young generally, I guess, for a politician, because you won't believe this, but I'm moderately young. This is the first time ever in my career that I haven't been the youngest or second youngest attorney at the place I work at. And I'm Tiffany Henyard's age. We in the same age bracket. So I guess she is young when you look at the type of work that she's doing. Generally, politicians tend to be older persons. But yeah, that was a fail. That whole dressing as Martin or Nino Brown or whatever the hell she thought she was doing. Let's see how she explained that tomfoolery.
To make sure I reach my young voters.
You just seen from Martin where was it said Dolton or Thornton Junction?
This is Dolton. This is all of the village, really.
Okay, got it.
Also in the heat coming from my mayoral seat, but they mixed the two because people don't understand the difference between the two. But I did come as a scene from Martin. I even made fun about it and did a skit and posted it on my TikTok just to show people my sense of humor side. Because at the end of the day, you got to meet the voters where they are. You got to meet the youth where they are. And that it did work. People pay attention to the meetings. They come in, they check out and see what's going on. And just give you a little more clarity of it.
I don't know about y'all, but I feel like she just called the voters dumb. Like I feel like she just called the voters dumb. You got to meet them where they are. So I dressed like the character off of Martin when he was dressing like Nino Brown. I don't know. That sounds kind of like an insult to me.
From Martin, I even made fun about it and did a skit and posted it on my TikTok just to show people my sense of humor side. Because at the end of the day, you got to meet the voters where they are. You got to meet the youth where they are. And that it did work. People pay attention to the meetings. They come in, they check out and see what's going on, and just give you a little more clarity of it. We had action, and I was being funny about it. Somebody knows something, meaning somebody knew where the votes went. During the election, the night of the election, we won. I mean, one of our candidates, and then come like a week or two later, all of a sudden the votes disappeared. So somebody took all the votes through mail-in ballots. So I went in and I was like, somebody knows something. That's all it was. It was before my meeting, not during my meeting. And then you can watching, you will see it was before. Everybody laughing, even the people that's into it with me. Everybody laughed because that's all it was. It was just a sense of humor, and they took it and flipped it into this big thing that you see.
So if that's the case, then are you looking at making adjustments?
I agree with that comment. I just wrote a note down, Brown Sugar. I just wrote a note because I'm gonna put that in the coffer, see if we can get that done next week. She refers to herself as young. Yeah, I mean, I think she's relatively young for a politician, and local politicians. Like, I don't know if there's anyway like the politicians we got. We got some goddamn dinosaurs on the bench. We got some dinosaurs on the bench, dinosaurs on the council. So I think 37 to 45 is relatively young for a politician in general. I think this is a good comment right here. Yeah. Young defense at the age of 37 does not mean you do stupid act that lends to unprofessionalism. It was extremely tone deaf. I agree. And I think that response she gave as to why she dressed up like Nino Brown or Martin or whoever was really insulting and a slap in the face for the younger voters. She's going to be like Woody. That dude's terrible on the stand. I was like, I saw everybody doing the YSL thing. Shout out to AV. Shout out to the lead attorney. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna even go there. But it's pretty terrible. He's pretty terrible. Every single resident paid me. Yeah. And I think she was playing that because it was a beef over money between the board or something, releasing money. That was the whole thing. In 1991, hey, good point. 1991 character is not for young voters. You need people age 43 and older. Anybody younger may not know who that character is. Yeah, I agree. That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, I know. Like, I mean, I don't know. My son know what the TV show Martin is, but he's of voting age, and he wouldn't get any context out of that. He'd be like, why the hell is she walking around with a dog in her hand? He would be confused too. So that was a good point.
In terms of how you operate, how you govern, because they're criticizing that. They're criticizing you putting up billboards. I mean, literally, they're criticizing attire. You name it.
Yeah. So it's sad to see that because you would think someone would reach out and say, hey, Mayor, I want to work with you. Let's sit down and talk and go over things that I think you should improve or change. A lot of people just upset because I am a trendsetter. I am a trailblazer. I am showing people what they should have done with the seats, with an S, before I took over. And as you know, I would do the work. So I ask the lawyers what I can and what I cannot do. And when they tell me what I can do, I go and I execute. There's nothing wrong with billboards because they are providing service. If it was something so wrong with billboards, people wouldn't have cut our phone lines. Like an example of other things we did.
There's nothing wrong with a billboard if you don't use taxpayer money to do it. using a billboard for a mayor or a politician is like it would be like using taxpayer money to pay for a campaign contribution, because that's the reason. What's the benefit of having a billboard that says Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard? So people who can know who you are, so they'll vote for you. And that's the problem. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a billboard if you actually pay for it. But if you use tax dollars to pay for a billboard as the super mayor, it's a campaign finance violation.
They cut our phone lines over at my supervisor position, because that's what we put the billboards up. It's talking about service.
They cut our phone lines. Who's that?
They cut our
real
phone.
Quick, and on that comment, that's actually a scientifically proven thing. Doing the wrong thing and getting away with it produces dopamine at a very, very high level. So that actually is a good point, and it's true.
Online, it was the college, South Suburban College.
Okay.
And they went ahead and service in over 30 years, never been cut. But the minute I put up a billboard, the line get cut. So now when people call the phone number, how do you get services? So now you get people complaining, saying the number don't work, you got all these issues, things like that. But these are the things I'm dealing with that people don't know, the public don't see, and you don't never hear me talk about it. I just go through the motions and just deal with it. But it actually has been working. All our numbers are up by 3-4 times in every department, especially the food department.
Our numbers are up. What numbers?
The numbers. So for instance, I'll give you an example. So our food pantry, we used to feed maybe 100, 150 people a day.
Everything she talking about is relevant. Everything she's talking about is relevant right now. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody who commented. Shout out to the moderators in the chat. AA Legal Focus, I appreciate you joining in. She has some great content where she does reaction to interesting legal cases over there that are interesting and kind of messy. And she has some good guests over there. So if you like that type of content, y'all should definitely go check her out. Yeah, but everything she's talking about in this video opens meetings at the amount of security that she has, or security detail. Now she's going into the food pantry, which literally we just did a video on earlier in the week, because there was questions of if her latest social event for the community was funded by taxpayer dollars and did it use money from the food pantry. So literally everything that she's talking about is relevant with what's going on currently.
We now feed 500 people a day. So when people talk, they should go research the numbers of back then and then research my numbers and compare. I'm putting that together just so I can show the public, because now it's all about showing people that everybody been lying this entire time doing a smear campaign. So now I'm going to show them, and then now you judge, because y'all all judging, meaning people out there are judging off of hearsay, false allegations, and not facts. Get facts first, and then make your judgment.
Take me through what took place with the change in pay for the Thornton position. Again.
Now this is actually good. I wanted to do a video on this, but again, I'm late to the Tiffany Henyard party. But this is actually good. The adjustments that were made to the Thornton supervisor pay, or whoever the next supervisor is. This is actually interesting and a big finesse too.
What your critics say is you led an effort to cut the salary if you don't get reelected, but the salary stays the same if you are reelected.
And see, that's again what I mean by research and what I say in the media and everybody doing the smear campaign. It's an ordinance already on the books. They didn't tell you that, right?
No, what's the ordinance?
The ordinance is on the books. My predecessor, he created that ordinance, and it's already there that he was to run or not run, that the salary drops. It's already there.
Okay, so you're saying prior to you coming there, that was that his decision, or was that the Thornton Township trustees' decision?
Well, it's them as a group, because they have to vote on it. It's
right.
Ordinance form, so yes, it was everybody's decision.
So you're saying that predated you?
Yes, and it's there. I have the proof for it.
Okay,
yes.
so the salary is currently what?
For myself, $224.
So when there's the next election, then if the current do you know what the rationale was for that?
Well, it was, like I just stated, it was already on the books.
That's wow. That's actually wow. Her salary is like over 200K, and at the next election, if she is not selected and nominated and re-gets that township supervisor position, the salary goes down to like 10% of what she currently makes almost. That's actually wild and crazy. And hey, that's interesting.
Proof for it.
Okay,
yes.
so so the salary is currently what?
For myself, $224.
So when there's the next election, then if the current supervisor is not reelected, then it drops to what?
25.
Do you know what the rationale was for that?
Well, it was like I just stated, it was already on the books. But I did research. They went and did this whole story of, hey, Tiffany did X, Y, Z.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. We did cut the prior salary was $50K.
So, sorry, cut what?
50,000. The ordinance that I'm talking about.
Right.
It was $50,000 that they created. Now we cut it in half. We did do that because everybody said we make too much money. So we did do that.
Okay, but it was cut from what, 224 to 50?
No.
What I'm trying to say, what was 50?
The ordinance that they created.
Okay.
Meaning the previous person before me. That's what they created before me. So it's $50,000. So no matter what or who ran against that person, it was already dropping to those numbers.
It was dropping from
whatever their salary was, which is the
224
to $50,000.
Okay, and then when you came in,
I dropped it to $25,000. All I did was cut the
50 to 25
in half.
And why was that?
Because everyone said the salary was too high. So all I did was just reduce it by half. That's it. But do you understand what I'm saying? It was already on the books. It was never going to stay to something ever. It was always going to drop down.
And you're saying that predated you?
It does. Yes, we have the ordinance. If you like the ordinance, we can give it to you.
What is your relationship with the township trustees? Because
All right, let me pause this real quick because I wanted to. An embattled Chicago area township supervisor is being accused of discouraging competition ahead of her campaign by cutting the position's pay. If she loses, it may be illegal, but someone would need to sue. Because she says that this was already on the books. It appears to be disingenuous. That's why I was doing a little bit of typing. I wanted to pull this up. Dolton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard makes $224,000 a year. Voter oust her. Her replacement will only earn $25,000 a year. Similar cuts await township board members if incumbent trustees lose their election. What is this? January 2024. The Southern Cook County Township Board passed an ordinance in early December that will cut salaries for newcomers, while state law prohibits changing salaries for those currently in office before the next election. Can punishing opponents who defeat incumbents be legal? No, it's so illegal in so many ways. It violates so many tenets of the law. Municipality attorney Bert Odenson told Fox 32. Henyard's $224,000 salary is abnormally high for a township supervisor job and is atop the $46,000 she is paid as mayor of Dolton. In 2021, Forbes reported a supervisory salary as one of the highest local government salaries in Illinois, having reached that amount in 2017. It says it's a higher salary than 49 of 50 state governors. Cutting the salary to $25,000 for anyone in the job would be more in line with what the township supervisor typically makes. Yeah, so that was definitely I didn't want to pull up the article, but that was definitely a disingenuous statement that it was already on the books. Now it's interesting because they passed it, so that I think that's a little. I mean, it probably is illegal because it sounds like a finesse. I can't say for certain, but I mean, the fact that they actually voted and passed that is a little bit of political gamesmanship on the part of everyone. And I mean, the real thing is, if it were me and I became the next supervisor and I got $25,000 and that $225,000, would I actually file a lawsuit? Yes, I would file a lawsuit because I think it'll be something that, I mean, I think on his face it just smells bad. But yes, that's definitely disingenuous. That wasn't something that was on the books. It was something that was placed on the books.
Predated you.
It does. Yes, we have the ordinance. If you like the ordinance, we can give it to you.
What is your relationship with the township trustees? Because again, there are two different entities here.
Correct.
How many trustees are you dealing with the city of Dolton?
6.
6. How many are you dealing with Thornton Township?
4.
Okay. So Do you have issues with the Thornton Township?
Actually, I don't. It might be one person that might not want to agree with things there, but everybody else is on board. I have no issue like I do in Dolton.
So what you're saying, most of all this drama is really happening with the city of Dolton.
Correct.
The trustees on Thursday voted for a resolution asking the FBI to investigate. Do you support that to help clear you, or do you believe their action was wrong?
So, as I stated, and I made a statement for the news, there is no subpoenas in my office and no one that we know of regarding the investigation. So
right now, what I'm saying
that,
is they passed a resolution calling for a federal investigation. And so what I'm asking is, are you saying, hey, if I did nothing wrong, fine, y'all come and investigate, or do you believe the action of these trustees was improper?
I think they should investigate. And that way you see who is clear, period. And I will talk to this more at my board meeting on Monday. Because if you're gonna do one, do everybody.
Well, first of all, if the federal authorities, I know how federal investigations work. Once they come in, they don't look at one person. They actually examine everything. We're chatting with the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, Tiffany Henyard. She joins me here in studio. So I'd asked you before we went to the break. I talked about again this charity and the Illinois Attorney General's office. This is from CBS affiliate there. Says that the accusation comes at the same time the Illinois Attorney General's office told Henyard's charity multiple times in recent months to stop improperly soliciting donations because it had not registered with the state as required by law. And you said that's not your charity. Correct. Okay. So were you ever? So show the video here. I'm trying to understand.
All right, so let's see if he dives in deeper. There's a lot of questions he should ask, and I'm also trying to keep an eye on her body language. But like I said, she's been relatively good at maintaining that same kind of posture and demeanor for the most part.
Understand this here. So this is a video of you marching with the charity. So what is this?
So what they're not telling you is we literally walked to Springfield to create a bill to help anybody that's suffering from cancer, whether it's the village of Dolton, Thornton Township, and then I increased it to the state of Illinois. And that bill will help people by giving them $10,000. And that's a bill that we actually are initiating, and we're still working on it. When I went through the Republican states, the Republican areas, we didn't have any issue. Everybody was on board because everybody is suffering from cancer, or know someone that passed or is actually going through it. So that was the whole purpose of the walk, to basically bring awareness and bring people together. That's what the whole purpose of it is.
But if you had, so there were folks with signs saying Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. Who was that?
What do you mean? It's everybody. Everybody was there.
No. What I'm
Hey, shout out to this comment. Shout out to the moderator, Bernie. This the homie right here, my old girl. $25K per year. You attempting people to steal, right? That is a true comment, like, because this appears to be the villagers failed to. Everybody failed each other. Voters failed. The board failed. The trustees failed. Tiffany failed. The staff failed. Nobody having a heart to actually be a legitimate whistleblower before it got to this level failed. It's just I don't know, a multitude of failures throughout this entire process. Tiffany makes around $300 a year with dual roles, but only wants to spend the citizens' money. Roland did not prep himself properly. He failed to truly understand that Tiffany is a professional gaslighter. Yeah, and he should ask about, okay, if you're just the face of this charity, who actually organized this charity since it bears your name, and what is your relationship to that person? That's really the only question he needs to ask, and it'll open up the doors.
What I'm saying is, what is the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation? You said it's good all.
Correct.
Well, what is it?
So someone made up a foundation. They named it after me, and they like my work that I do in the community, and it's called Tiffany Henyard Cares. So we all went.
Now, but they weren't registered. Have you contacted them and told them you can't use my name improperly?
Well, my lawyer's handling a lot of that stuff, so all I can tell you is that I'm not the one on anything. That's the only thing I can tell you right now. So I'm just trying to answer to the
So you're saying there's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you?
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
so you're not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Correct.
Okay. Again, going back to your trustees, they have talked about travel. So let's speak about that. When you're traveling, are you traveling on?
All right, so real quick before we pivot to the traveling on this foundation, and I'm trying to look. I don't know. I'm gonna look as this video plays, but any foundation, nonprofit, it has to be registered. If it's a state entity, it has to be registered with the Secretary of State. Some states call it some other agency, but it's normally called in most states the Secretaries of State's offices. This is where you'll register your LLC, your S Corp, your corporation, your partnership. You file your articles of incorporation, partnership agreement, and normally that's done so the state can actually track these entities for tax purposes. If you have a nonprofit, now we can properly classify you as a nonprofit. So that's actually wild if she's saying that there's an organization named after me that someone started. And his question should have been, who started? You're marching with them. You know who the hell started this organization. Who are they and how do you know them? That should be the questions that should have been followed up with. But it's actually wild to have an organization that's a nonprofit charitable organization that's not registered, that's out soliciting money. And you as a mayor are on the front line, literally in every advertisement and actually probably asking for solicitations. That's actually wild. And I wish he would have dove in. Y'all let me know. That's interesting. Who actually started that shit? Now I want to know. Now I want to do a little bit more research and find out who actually started it. That's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, if Tiffany is reelected, I'm telling you, I don't think it's. Hey, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. That's all I can say. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. Yeah, she's the founder of Tiffany Henyard. Okay, let's see. Boldface lied right there about the foundation. Her name was on all the paperwork application. It was denied because it could not demonstrate the foundation process. Its donation. Okay. All right. I'm about to say, because that would be crazy to, like, we just gonna start this thing and call it something and not do anything like that. That's actually insane. But he should have followed up. If there's a organization that I wish somebody would start a charity and put my face on it, talk about DFD cares. I'd be like, what the hell? So that don't even make any sense. And let's go ahead. They about to pivot topics right here.
On behalf of the city of Dolton or Thornton Township?
It depends. It depends on what it is. So if I'm going to Recon, Recon is a big platform for economic development where people go from all over. It's the largest in the nation, and everybody goes to basically promote their plot of land. So you want to bring a Starbucks to town. You want to bring, for instance, mine was a trauma center. Mm-hmm. So things like that is what we go for. And then our job is to bring those things back, work on a plan. It might not happen this year. It might happen 2 years out plan. People don't understand. They think it should happen right now. You went to this conference. What did you do? Right now, you could be working on a deal, and come the next term, the next mayor or the next trustee or whoever will benefit from it. That's how it works.
Do you have policies in your city as it relates to travel, as it relates to flying first class, what types of hotels to stay in to minimize expenses for the city? Well,
we have a budget. So as long as it's in the budget, you can basically go to any conference. Any conference you choose.
No, I understand the budget, but so for instance, I've covered City Hall, covered county government, where they establish, where they say, like, for instance, City of New Orleans has a policy that city officials don't fly first class. Okay. Do you have that?
We do not.
Do you believe you should have a policy? Because again, the critics are that you're flying first class, that you're staying in Four Seasons hotels, high dollar hotels, having what they call extravagant dinners, and those are your critics. Are you as a city official, in order to make sure that you'll be on reproach, looking at establishing a city policy in terms of how money is spent when traveling?
This is the way I feel about it. People will talk about anybody because they're not doing the work. They only talk about the people that's at the top, the ones that are doing the work. They telling you about travel. I'm in your studio right now talking about travel. What we should be talking about is the $15 million I bought back to my community.
No, I understand that.
No, I know, but I'm pointing it out. But we arguing over travel.
No. But the reality is this is a conversation that members of Congress have to deal with, that mayors, city council members, county commissioners.
Yeah.
As I said, I've covered.
And real quick, that's actually weird as hell if there's nothing on the books that talks about the travel accommodations that government employees have. I actually just pulled it up. I'm not going to show it, but it says this is for the federal government. It requires all employees and parties traveling on official government business to use coach class accommodations unless one or more of the following criteria are met in order for the agency to authorize business class travel accommodations. And then they give you a bunch of exceptions. If there's no space available, if it's an emergency and there's no other alternative, the rules get even more stringent for international flights at the federal government level. And even when I was employed at the local state level, they had rules in place. Now, hey, if y'all never flown business class or first class, you should actually try it because you'll never want to fly anything else. Literally, if I go on vacation, I want the last 2 seats in first class and then the first 2 seats of like regular coach class. And the kids old enough, they could sit back there and coach. And if they bother me, I just tell the stewardess, I'd be like, could you close this curtain? Because those people back there bothering me. But normally you can pay for an upgrade. So that's something that I've done. I went and traveled and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to California on this Southwest flight or Delta flight. I'll just pay the $100 or $200 to get the upgrade. But normally most government rules don't allow you to just say, get there however you want. If you want to if you want to get chauffeured in a convoy of Tesla Cybertrucks, you can, long as you get there. That's normally not how it's work. So that's actually kind of weird for her to even say that, or for them to not have a policy. That would be weird. Yeah. This is the first one, the first interview. Yeah. The denial was due to lack of showing organizational officer, its agencies, its goals, and the intent on how to use funds dispersed because it has to be fair to avoid purposeful favoritism and exclusionary. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, it's definitely the first one. He needs to interview again. That would be golden. Tiffany claimed for the first year, the founder, she stole general funds from Thornton Township and donated them to her foundation, or donated them to a foundation. Donated them to a foundation. Yeah, where are the receipts for the 15 million? I haven't seen any receipts for anything that she said associated with money that she brought back to the city or the township or anything. I've heard her say a lot of things, but I've never seen an overt. At the same meeting, she had DJ playing Rihanna. Yep. I think Dolton and Thornton being smaller have people who overall honest in the expenditures, and no one thought to place an ironclad ordinance on expenditures. And I agree. I think a part of it is it's probably a small town, and they never thought that they were going to get like a dictator. I don't think they ever thought fathom that somebody will just come here and do everything the complete opposite of how it has been done in the past. Because every politician does a little self-dealing, but normally politicians don't overindulge and make it so overtly known. Yeah. Frank worked up until the 224 since he died to keep his salary, and she ran and won. She would get the 50, but she tried to change the law, and they struck it down in Springfield. So real quick. All upgrades. Yeah, all upgrades have to be paid personally. Yep. Even sometimes if I go out somewhere on a work trip and it's over Thursday, it's over on a Friday, I'll stay the weekend if it's someplace I want to go, and I would have to pay the difference for the ticket. If it's cheaper for me to fly back when the conference is over on Friday and I want to leave on Sunday, whatever the difference is for that Sunday ticket, I would have to pay that out of pocket. State funding applications were awarded for certain infrastructure improvements. I saw this interview where she pulled the wool right over Roland's eyes on the interview. He didn't research at all. The comments went off on Roland for this whole interview. He definitely needs a do-over. Okay, isn't that weird? Because Thornton Township never established a policy in terms of how supervisor and staff travel, and Henyard's narcissism exploited the process. Yeah. Well, hey, if you don't got a rule, hey, if you don't if you don't have a rule expressly saying we can't do it, yeah, that's their fault. That's fair. That is a fair point. That's crazy. Let's jump back into this interview.
I've covered Fort Worth City Council, Travis County Commissioner's Court. Have covered City Council in Dallas, and this is one of the things that people often look to. They look at in terms of public officials, being proper use of taxpayer dollars. And one of the areas, this happened with Kwame Kilpatrick when he was mayor of Detroit. He was highly criticized for the use of the city's credit card and how he was traveling. And so what I'm saying is, if you have those critics, we're not talking about a large city. We're not talking about a massive budget. And so do you believe it's proper to have a city standard that applies to you and all trustees and city employees that says, sure, you can fly, but you fly economy, not first class. And then if you stay in hotels, you don't necessarily stay in Four Seasons or a hotel like that. There are Hyatt, Marriott, or whatever. And so because of the criticism, do you believe in creating that type of travel policy?
I sure do.
And will you do that?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that also, going back to your critics of your trustees, they're alleging financial improprieties when it comes to documents.
We're gonna run that back. She said, I'll do that, yes. And I'm pretty sure that to date she hasn't proposed anything like that. That's hilarious. I just wanted to make sure I tapped into these comments. Yeah, Roland knew she was lying. He is helping build a case for the feds. This is terrible. It appears at no time did it consider the effects this will have on a young daughter and the humiliation. Yeah, it's really going to be humiliating if, like, at the end of this, when all the dust settles and all the smokes clears, you don't have anything to show for it. Like, I don't know. Like, and I don't feel confident that that's the case. I don't feel confident that's the case. Yeah, we talked about that recall that was overturned. It looked like it was a process issue that wasn't followed correctly. So, but yeah, let's run it back. She crossed her heart. She crossed her heart. That's funny, Elise. Oh yeah, she crossed her heart. Let's run that back. That was pretty good.
Yes, this happened with Kwame Kilpatrick when he was mayor of Detroit. He was highly criticized for the use of the city's credit card and how he was traveling. And so what I'm saying is, if you have those critics, we're not talking about a large city. We're not talking about a massive budget. And so do you believe it's proper to have a city standard that applies to you and all trustees and city employees that says, sure, you can fly, but you fly economy, not first class. And then if you stay in hotels, you don't necessarily stay in Four Seasons or a hotel like that. There are Hyatt, Marriott, or whatever. And so because of the criticism, do you believe in creating that type of travel policy?
I sure do.
Man, she is good. I would just be honest. Like, she's probably sat down with someone, because how she's reacting is actually how people are trained to respond to questions. If any of you in the chat been in the military and you go to a promotion board and you just have to sit in the chair and you have to sit at attention like this and you just ask questions, I don't care if it flies in there and it lands on your face. You'll just sit there, keep your hands like this to the side and answer questions. She is doing a very good job at keeping her demeanor. I will tell you where I paused it at, though. That do look like the face of somebody who's capping, someone who's being a little bit disingenuous. And also the setup for his studio, as they backed out and I looked at the setup, it's really not a good setup to really look at a person's body language, but I don't know. I thought that was hilarious that she said that there was technically no illegal activity since there was no ordinance. I agree. Yep. Like I said, if you don't have a rule, but that's how lawyers work. I actually had something I was working on at work, and I was actually helping someone with it. And one of the things you learn early on is if the law doesn't say, like, hey, I want to do A, and if an attorney came back to me and said, oh, we can't do it because they never decided this, I would fire them immediately. Because if it doesn't say we can't do it, that means that we can do it. That's kind of how attorneys work. Like, does it expressly say we can't do this? If it don't expressly say we can't do this, that means we can do it. That's actually a fair point. Unethical. There's a thin line between ethics and illegal conduct, and you see it a lot of times in local government. You'll see city council bring someone up on ethics violations, but it doesn't cross that line into a criminal realm. So that is actually a good point that was made, common sense. That was actually a good point. Roland did his job. He was already brief about Tiffany's to expose her. Yeah, I think it's overall not bad. I don't think it's a softball as everybody said initially. She's so used to lying. This is her most likely baseline. Telling the truth may change her body posture. That's funny. All right, we almost done. Let's go and hop back into it.
And will you do that?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that also, going back to your critics of your trustees, they're alleging financial improprieties. When it comes to documents, they say that you won't turn documents over. When it comes to your city's budget, how is that handled? Is there a city treasurer? Is there a city auditor? Normal operation in the city, there are people who handle those different things. And so when you're a trustee, they can make those requests and those documents are produced. How does it work in Dolton?
Exactly what you just said. Every document we produce, every statement we give them. They sued us. That's another lawsuit they sued us for. And guess what? We won. Because that's why I'm trying to explain to everybody. They just saying stuff. There's no facts to it. We go to court. We prove to the courts that we're doing our job, which is providing them with documentation.
We know this is cap because they literally just lost in court because they weren't responding appropriately. They either weren't responding to FOIA requests or an alternative, they were making the wrong exemptions to not have to be required to divulge the information. So I think it's probably the first thing. I think they probably just ignored it. And we did a video talking about that and gave a brief overview of FOIA and exemptions and all of that good stuff.
Once we give the documentation, guess what? We win our lawsuit. And we've been giving it to them through email. It's in everybody's email. I've showed that in videos. I've showed that at board meetings. And I've showed people that hey, they said they get it every single month.
But for the people who don't know, explain the process though.
Okay.
You got mayor, you got trustees.
Right.
Who are the city employees who that's their job? So do you have a city treasurer?
We have a finance director, we have a CPA, which is our accountants. Yes, and we have auditors. We have all of them.
So the finance director should have the financial records for all transactions with the city.
Yes, and she gave them to them. That's my point. Through email. And we showed that. We proved it in court. Once again, we won in court. We won. They said that, but then we showed y'all that they was lying by producing an email showing we gave them every document they needed. But they go and they put on this show.
This is
and
crazy
they want to sit here and criticize people.
This is actually a fact that literally we just saw a video where the news actually filed litigation for their failure to respond to a FOIA request to get documentation. So and she's saying we handed them everything, and we literally know that they didn't hand over absolutely anything, and the news had to go to court. That's actually kind of wild. Let's check out these comments. The skating ring thing is crazy, Justin, especially since, according to news reports, it's not even open when the weather is nice outside. It's solely for personal events that she wants to open it for. I work in this insurance. I've mentioned the rule. If it's not spelled out in the exclusion clauses, then it's understood as included and covered. That's correct. Thornton doesn't have a travel policy because it doesn't require travel. Like, I mean, like I can see 1 or 2 trips a year, but you shouldn't be traveling a significant amount of time to be the mayor of like uh, the village of Dolton. I just don't think like I agree. It should be very limited travel. Yeah, if it doesn't say that's the rule. Yep, that's the rule, Lisa Lee. If it doesn't say no U-turn, then you can make a U-turn. She U-turning like a yeah. She that good. Roller just didn't know how to press on anything because he did absolutely no research on her. If it was a Republican or Dr. Umar, he would have done it. Hey, that's fair too. Roland does lean a certain way. We know that. She hasn't turned in any account work, so she could never get a grant. Let's see. No politician says they took over anything. No. Politicians say I was voted and I want to do the will of the people. She said it like she a dictator. Yeah. Illinois was very specific on FOIA rules and procedures. I skimmed through it. Exemptions are specific and extended notices to comply are also specific to legalize the reasons for FOIA delayed responses. Yeah. Even and I'm I would probably consider myself a FOIA expert. I agree. Delayed responses aren't necessarily even an issue if most government agencies aren't going to get you your FOIA requests that you wanted within a certain amount of time because the backlog is just crazy. It's just people who always want documents. And yeah, I just don't even think they actually asserted. The common sense, I don't think they even asserted an exclusion. Excuse me. I'm actually just guessing that they got a FOIA request and just dropped it behind the file cabinet because there are some exclusions that they could have tried. They actually have some exclusions that do apply to certain government contracts, and it could you could prevent providing financial information, certain trade secrets if it was a contract for a particular software or something like that. But I don't think they did any of that. I think they just didn't reply to it. Miss Kirby, what slays me is that they've not submitted an audit submission for 3 years. Comptroller failed to flag this fact. Why? Because the comptroller was probably in the pocket, or probably someone that she appointed who was like, "Yo, I'm gonna just let you do what you do. Don't worry about it." 2020 was the last audit. That's a damn shame. We in 2020.
She's doing wrong. I'm not doing wrong. I'm proving it every single time I win a court case. Again, 25-0. They ain't won not one court case, but they keep saying I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's not true because we go to court for everything they claim I'm doing. But every time we go to court, I win. If I'm doing wrong, why am I study winning? That can't be true. That's the narrative they put out. I have 2 powerful seats. One, I'm the mayor. The other, I'm the supervisor. I am over 190,000 votes, whether people like it or not. That can sway an election, no matter what people say. I am an influencer. They only go out the people that can influence people's minds. And right now I have the youth. I got everybody.
She is right. She an influence. I think she really wants to just be a social media influence. That's what I think.
That loves Tiffany Henyard. Because I've been doing it since day one, since I was a trustee, where I did 2 terms. And I came out of every election victorious, every election. So now, because they can't beat me, they got to do this smear campaign to convince public opinion that I'm bad for them.
So you said 2 elections. You were first elected in 2021?
No, 2013 was my first election for trustee.
No.
I was a trustee. I sat where they are.
Right.
That's why I know the law.
Council.
Yes.
Elected in 2001.
Yes.
Term is 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. Plans of running for re-election?
I'm running for both my seats. And I'm going to win them.
So when is the election for Thornton Township?
2025.
So those elections at the same time?
They are.
And folks who don't know, the township covers how many different?
17 cities.
17 cities.
Which is governed by all men, which I am over. So you already see what all the problems I have.
What you mean of the 17?
I'm over 17
towns in the township.
Correct.
16 have male mayors, you don't have female.
Correct.
Oh man, like this like when in doubt, go to the hey, I'm the youngest here, I'm the only female. People not messing with you because does that happen? Yes, it does happen. Ladies, don't beat me up. I understand circumstances of this. There is ageism, there's sexism, there's racism. But most of your wounds are self-inflicted wounds. Like I guarantee you, if you were a guy doing the exact same thing, they'd be on your ass too. so I mean, I think that, you know, like, that's a disingenuous card to play.
Okay. Go to my panel with questions. Larry, you first.
Roland's questions and provide some clarification, because I heard about the story too, and I was intrigued when I realized that you were going to be on the show and have the opportunity to talk to him. And you know, like I said, it was important to hear your response to some of these questions. So let's talk about, you know, all politics is local. Let's talk about your constituents. And I know you just mentioned you up for re-election next year. So have you done any polling about, well, first question, any polling related to how some of the, you know, how this has impacted your, you know, how your constituents view you as, in both your positions, mayor and I guess overall as a supervisor? And then I guess my second question is, what specific policies have you implemented to address any concerns that some of the trustees have brought forth? You talked about cutting this, cutting the salary in half. What other steps have you taken to address any concerns that any trustees or any other constituents may have?
Well, yes, we have done polls for my community. And believe it or not, a lot of people support me still. And that's the reason why they going hard. Right now, I love the fact that people are reading through the mess. And that's why I'm speaking on these platforms now, because I want to educate people and give them facts. I don't want like people just make a decision off of feelings or emotions, you know? And as it relates to policies, yes, I'm all about policies. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do the bill for cancer, because I know what it feels like to go through that and not have help. So when I go and I advocate for funds for whether it's my mayorship or whether.
All right, so she clearly not asking the question. The question was, what policies have you put in place to essentially cure or calm the concern of the trustees? The question is about the money and the spending, and she's talking about a policy for cancer. I don't think she put any policy up related to spending outside of reducing the pay for the person who may take her job. Like, outside of that, she probably never put any policy up that would actually derail or alter the way that she's allowed to spend money. But that was the question, and she clearly isn't answering it.
That it's the township, I make sure I keep the people in mind, and I ask them what are their needs, and they tell me their needs, and then we advocate for it. And thank you so much for all those that helped and supported it. We come back and we create.
I'll just read these comments here. Miss Kirby, she lost her first run as a trustee, and it's something strange about the township nomination because they refused her the first go around. I mean, it's strange. Is will probably happen. I'm not gonna say it probably happened. What sometimes happen is they'll have to go and do the nominations again because you haven't made. Normally, politicians haven't made enough promises to actually get the votes that they thought they had. Like, yo, I need it's 9 of y'all. I need 6 votes, and they end up getting 5, and they're like, oh shit, let me go back to the table and renegotiate something so I can get that 6th vote. So it could be genuine. More likely than that, I don't think it is genuine. I don't think anything that happens of any of these people is genuine. This was hilarious. Love and Hip Hop, dog. Yo, I haven't watched like a Love and Hip Hop in probably like a decade. I think the last one I saw, the last Love and Hip Hop episode I saw was Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and one of my partners from law school. I literally watched it because they told me one of my partners from law school was representing Lil Scrappy's, I think it's his wife now, or his baby mother at the time, in like a child support court. And I was like, oh man, that's wild. This dude on Love and Hip Hop, that's crazy. But Love and Hip Hop, I'm here for it. I bet someone donated wigs to the Cancer Foundation. They got a substantial donation of lace fronts. Y'all hilarious.
Budgets, and we create programs. We gave over 80 people with kids, youth, scholarships, 80. And they got up to $2,500. We also did 429 kids for Stop the Bleed and CPR. because you know about all the shootings and things that's going on in communities. These are things that people don't talk about, the real work, the real things that I actually do in my communities. And I'm going to keep on advocating for that. So yes, to your question.
Jonquil.
That's actually a no to
Yes, thank you so much for being here. What I wanted to ask specifically is different than his question, is that regardless of the outcome, if the FBI is pursuing an investigation and you do get some vindication as it relates to their investigation, but how do you go about restoring public trust, right? The public trust, because whenever, it calls for all of these different allegations and then you're on national news, I mean, that's essentially what you've lost, right? Is the public trust. And so how are you going to gain that back? In addition to that, with all of these lawsuits, 26 lawsuits sounds exhausting. Okay, for the amount of time that you've been in office. And frankly, have you instituted any countersuing measures or any other legal measures to prevent this cycle from continuing?
Yes.
Twofold.
Okay. So, Yes, I'll start backwards. So yes, we're countersuing the Board of Trustees for all the illegal things that they do. And we're working on that. And you will hear me speak to that at my board meeting on Monday, because it said that people have allowed the outside to interfere with the day-to-day operation of our village. And people are convincing, I would say, certain individuals that both my titles are one, and it's not. I have one title as supervisor, one title as mayor. So it's two different budgets, two different boards, and we do two different things. And I just want the world and everybody to understand how we're going to move forward as it relates to public trust. That's why I'm speaking today on Roland's platform, and I appreciate him for giving me the opportunity to do so, because it is only one-sided narratives out there. And I want the world to know my heart and my passion for community, because I don't know nobody that would sit in a seat, take all the smoke that I take, be in the fire, and still keep pushing. A lot of people would have quit. A lot of people would have did worse off things than this. And I choose to stay prayed up, stay focused. I let God lead my steps. And I love everybody that be praying for me and sending me uplifting quotes and things like that. So I need that, because I'm still human and I'm still going through the emotions, but I'm telling my story. I'm telling my truth, and I'm stating it with facts. I'm not just out here lip boxing is what I call it. I'm literally showing you the proof. So now it's up to that resident or that person to choose what they believe or what they don't believe.
Mustafa.
Hey, real quick, let me check out some of the comments. She actually did. She has Tiffany has bachelor's in business from, what is it, Robert Morris University, I think. I looked it up. Now, I didn't look at, how she performed, see her transcripts or anything like that. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I wanted to look at this comment right here. She was voted in at the last few minutes before midnight, before the trustees had to turn the vote over to the residents instead. Desperation. Throwing the candidate out there and not letting the people have a choice. That sounds very democratic to me. Hey, I'm just saying, throwing the candidate out there and not letting the people have a choice. This is just who you got. We don't want y'all to have a decision. This is who you got. This is a trend that we're seeing in 2024, I'll just say, and I'll leave it at that. That's funny. Yeah, but yeah, she did with Robert Morris, got a degree in business. Yeah. Oh, really? See, now I gotta look. I'm gonna look and find out. See if I can find out why I let this play.
Well, Mayor Henyard, thank you for being here. Also, thank you for being a young mayor, because we need more.
Yes.
My question is, you've garnered a lot of wisdom, probably through the trials and tribulations that you have went through to date. Looking back, would there be anything that you would do differently in the beginning of your administration to help to be able to navigate some of the situations, or hopefully even, eliminate some of these challenges that have been put in front of you?
Yes, I will watch the people I choose to put on my ticket, because you never know. People will play nice sides, act like they for you and your vision, run on that vision, and then get in and do the opposite of what we told the people. Our job is to make sure we do.
Yes, you are actually, I guess, partially right. I can't speak to if the degree was confirmed or not. If I had to guess, I would probably say that it is because it looks like uh, Robert Morris University ceased operation as an independent institution of higher education in the state of Illinois on March 9th, 2020. Roosevelt University acquired certain educational assets and programs owned by Robert Morris University. So, yes, the school is closed down. I can't speak specifically to a certification, but I would probably give it a benefit of the doubt considering the school closed in 2020 and unless she graduated in like 2019 or something, but I'm assuming she graduated some moons ago. So it probably still is this probably was an accredited institution at the time she got her degree. I don't know, but I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt on that one. But the school is currently closed.
Deliver what we told the people we was going to do. If we said we're going to fix the town, improve the town, increase economic development, increase the police department, uplift areas, uplift morale, we should do that. And that's what I want people to do today. I want people to call elected officials out on the mess. It's a lot of people that talk the talk but can't walk the walk. The difference with me and them is I run circles around everybody that was before me. I put in the work day in, day night, day out, and I stop because I love what I do. This is not a job to me. This is a passion of mine, and you got to have a heart for people in order to stay in this because a lot of people, as I stated before, would have been quit.
How do you separate the two jobs? So when I was talking about.
This is actually a very good question because I just think there's an inherent conflict having both of those jobs. And as we can clearly see, she spends on trips with cards associated with both jobs. So this is actually a good question.
For instance, when I mentioned the criticism regarding security detail, do you have established hours that this is when I'm doing the city of Dolton work? And when that stops, does your detail then go away? Because if you're doing Thornton's work, so you got two different jobs. And so how do you deal with that to make sure that the taxpayers of Dolton aren't paying for things when you're doing stuff for Thornton Township?
But what people don't understand is that your security go wherever you go. So wherever I go, the security goes because that's how the threats come. Sometimes it could be coming out of Village Hall. I'll give you an example. When we was trying to do Kumbaya, me and my board, this is when I first got in office, we had two individuals.
She literally don't answer any question.
When I say myself and I'm gonna say Trustee Stan Brown was left to defend ourselves, my entire board ran, all of them.
They supposed to stand there and protect you? Like, that's crazy. Yeah, they should have ran. I would have ran too.
The men, the women, everybody ran.
I'm not standing there to protect you. Like, nah, I protect myself. Maybe somebody else, but definitely not you. That's crazy.
And got in the car. We was left defending against this individual. Come to find out, 5 minutes later, call somebody else. This man pull up in a raper man van, jumps out, and start bickering with us. And then you have one trustee filming in their car. I didn't have no security. I didn't have anything when I first started. That's how bad it's got.
So you're saying that, look, because you are the mayor and these threats continue, then you require that detail at all times. So when your critics, like former police chiefs, say, "Oh, there was massive overtime bills, and they were accompanying her everywhere, multiple people," you say because of those threats.
Yeah, it's plenty of threats. We got it documented, so it's not we're making it up. Yeah, it's certain things that we have been.
He started out with a good question. She didn't answer it, and she took him down the road to bullshit, and he just went right along for the ride. Like, bro, the question is, how do you? And it's actually a great question. How do you separate, bifurcate, split, allocate your workload to make sure that Dolton residents are getting what they deserve, not on the township's dollar, and vice versa? And she just went down this road of security and jump outs, and now he just got completely sidetracked. That was absolutely terrible.
been showing the public, telling the public, but it's up to people on what they believe.
Have you also filed anything with the state police?
Yes, we have. With
And what is
several different agencies. We give them all the documents, which I think you have some of them, and we show them the threats. We show them the arrests. We have all kinds of things that go on that the public don't even know about as relates to threats to even staff. That's how bad it's gotten. People just pull up Village Hall and come in and threaten. What they do to anybody? They came to work for a job. And it's sad because there's so many shootings and things going on. People's mental is off. So you have to be secured. If you're not, then anything can happen. So I hate that people looking at it so lightly, like they don't see what's going on. Look what just happened in that church. You don't know when is when. You don't know.
Lakewood Church in Houston.
Yes. It's sad. So what do we do? And it's said that we have to debate over it when it's already budgeted for, when it's already in the CBA. It's already there. So why are we having a conversation about something that's already allotted, something that already was done in the past?
When you mentioned $15,000 grants brought to the city, what does that involve?
So it's 15 million overall, but it's 9.2 for a township, 6.8 for Dolton. So basically what I do is
again, that's why I have to separate.
Yeah.
So when you say 15 million, that's not just for Dalton,
Correct.
that's also for the township.
Correct.
And so, so again, talking about your travel, what have you brought in and what have we brought in for the city?
Okay.
Separate from the township?
The money, what do you want?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 6.8.
For
the village of Dolton.
Got it.
So basically that's in our budget, which the board tried to take it out at the last board meeting. The attorneys had to tell them you got to put it in there because the money
additional resources that you brought into the city.
Into my city.
From what? State, federal?
Yes.
What? Okay.
Yes. So now you just wait till the money trickle down. We got $1 million that should hit in the next month. For what is it? Reimbursement. It's for reimbursement. So it's all kinds of ways you get money, but you have to be in the room. You have to be in the place. People always talk, but if you never leave this space, how do you know what's out there? How do you know what to get and come back and recreate it in your space? That's what I do. I go and I see what other towns doing, and I go and sometimes I might mimic and I might put my own sauce on it. And what I mean by my own sauce, I might use my creative vision and say, okay, they had slide right here. I might want to do a slide, but a water slide, or I might want to do a run through slide. Like it's up to you. That's what the youth is about, and I think that's what the problem is. Our community, our nation, they need hope. They need something to believe in. I am the beacon of light for the soft land. I will redevelop the soft land no matter what they say. They could keep on talking. And throughout the whole controversy, I've still been doing that. I've been building an ice skating rink, a roller skating rink, outdoor building. Did I get any news play on that? Nothing. It can't be, and that's why I want people to ask themselves, how is it that the news just write all negative things about this woman? All negative. She did not one thing correct, not one. That's how you know when things are going left. That's how you know when everybody here is involved. Because I do a lot of positive things. I got a mental health tour that we go into the schools and we talk directly to the kids. And because I look like them, because I can go on their level and I dance with them, talk to them, because I do those things, they talk to me back and they tell me they're dealing with mental illness. And I've gotten several families help by just going into the school, doing what I do, being me, helping people. But they don't tell y'all. But I film it and I broadcast it on our social medias, on our websites, and I talk about it in my mayor's report at my board meetings. Because I want people to see what it is I do. Judge me for the work. Because no matter what, my work speaks for itself. They can say whatever, but my work don't speak. Speaking
of that, you announced you're launching something on Spotify and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You got time for that? Between being the mayor of a city and being also supervisor, you got time for that?
Well, yes, I do, because it's basically just filming my life in a sense. It's me talking to you, for instance, answering questions, and all we're doing is just putting it in a platform like you have here, so people can learn for themselves, get the evidence, because all we're gonna do is upload what I'm saying to you, whether it's the ordinance, whatever they talking about, and prove it to them. Like I do in my board meetings, I show a slideshow about this what they said, but here's the truth.
Do you believe, and have you thought about it? If you look back the things that you've done, and you mentioned the skit at the board meeting, mm-hmm. Do you believe that you've made some mistakes? Do you believe that, do you think that you are too flashy? Two, no, I won't say outspoken because first of all, I ain't got a problem with outspoken.
Okay.
But I also understand the reality of politics and how people perceive politicians.
Yeah.
And and some believe they might be doing too much. What you're saying is, no, this is who I am, so therefore I'm reaching a whole new audience.
Correct.
But have you thought about things that you've done since you've been mayor where you say, you know what, I shouldn't have done that?
Of course, we're not perfect. Nobody is. We human beings. I tell people that all day long. But what I will say, I want people to just love on people.
She is terrible at answering questions. He is terrible at redirect. Like, yo, redirect the witness to get him back on point. Like, hey, have you ever thought about things you should have done different? She said, exactly. Your next question should be, like, what? Give us an example. Like, come on, dude. It's crazy that, like, that's like I don't know. That's a simple, basic follow-up question.
Rest today, and that's why I'm here to say, hey, let's do better. And all I can do is do this when I have conversations with the mayor, and I ask them, how do you feel? Meaning the residents, because they are my voters. Them the ones that I have to answer to. And they'll tell me, like how you're asking, do you think you should have did this different? Yes, a lot of things I should have done different or could have done different. But guess what? You have to try. And then when you try and it's a mistake, guess what? It's not too late. That's why I talk to the kids. Now you go and you fix it. What matters is how you come out of it, because we're going to go through it, but we need to grow through it. And I tell my kids this all the time, and they are understanding it. It's almost like second chance programs, things of that nature. Yeah, your kid made a mistake because you don't know who it could be. It could be your kid. Your kid could be at the wrong place, wrong time, and get the same sentence as somebody else. But are you going to throw your baby away? No, because the kids come right back in our communities that live with grandma, granddad, everybody that's in that community, and they need a job. So how do we help them? We can't throw them away because they made a mistake. That's called life. It's called testimony. It's a test.
So you've got all this dissension, all this rancor. You've got the lawsuits going back and forth. All this doing is with your trustees.
2025.
That's a whole year.
It's a whole year. But I lasted 3 years of all this back and forth. And I think the residents are tired of it. And I think they see it for what it is. Smear campaign.
All right. Mayor Henyard, we appreciate it. And we'll see what happens next in this ongoing saga.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Gotta go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland.
That was a that's a wild video. I thought that was a fair point though. I was like, damn, I was like, you got time to do YouTube videos and you got 2 jobs and kids. That's a wild video. I think he definitely, I don't know what the hell he was doing at the end. You know, he started out relatively decent, but he never answered the right follow-up. He never got the right response. When she didn't answer a question, he didn't redirect her to answer the question. It was pretty terrible. 10-day notice requirement does not apply if a public body changes the date of an individual meeting or meetings, but otherwise continue to adhere to its existing regular meeting schedule. And you can't that multi-million-dollar deficit you created for Dolton. You created over $8 million swing from surplus to deficit, and you want to film YouTube videos. Kamal did it when he cut out on his family with Tiffany. Yeah. I don't know. I think that was an interesting video. It was consistent with everything that we saw. Everything that we saw is an excuse of blaming it on somebody else. Never any accountability, not answering a question. There were multiple instances where we could actually look back in hindsight and see that, oh, this isn't factually correct. This isn't truthful. This isn't truthful. It's interesting. I'm going to see that. Apparently, I guess he did a second video. My guy Wolverine said, I may take a look at that video. I actually thought about pulling up the Shark Tank video because that does sound funny. He said a video with the Shark Tank pitch. What I might do for that video, though, is because I know if I use that content, YouTube going to be like, oh, it's a copyright thing because it's Shark Tank. So I may make a pre-recorded video where I do the Shark Tank thing because that actually sounds fucking hilarious. Where I look at the pitch for Good Burger because I've never seen it before. I'll react to that, but I'll post it as a live video. So actually, as we watch it, it'll be filming live, and I'll interact with everybody on the chat as the video is playing. That's probably what I'll do, so that way YouTube don't jam anything up and copyright on this side of the game. But yo, that was the video. It was this whole situation is straight out of the Boondocks. It should be a Boondocks episode on the Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard. But I'm gonna throw a poll question up, and I want to know what do you all think is going to be the outcome of the 2025 election. You're pretty much gonna get three options: a Henyard win. It should probably be 5 options, but you can only give 4 options on YouTube, so I'm gonna narrow it down to 3. Is it gonna be a Henyard win? Is it gonna be a Henyard loss? Or she won't make it to election because she'll be in custody? Those are gonna be the 3 options, and I want everybody to chime in when I post a poll. Yo, let me go through, make sure I got all the final comments before we tap out of here tonight. Yeah, somebody said it was a deposition too, so I gotta take a look. I gotta take a look at those. Jail. You will get to hear Tiff high pitched sales voice. That's funny. Somebody just J77 just said jail. I don't know, man. We'll see. I think y'all, if it gets to election and she's not in custody, she hasn't been formally indicted, and an election happened, I think she loses, but I think it's a really close election. Like really, really, really close. I don't think y'all are giving enough credit to her targeting the senior population. That seniors are the people who always vote in anything. But we're gonna see how it plays itself out. If the seniors cannot be swayed, they have a viable chance to win, since they may represent 30% of the votes. My point is exactly. We on the same page, common sense. Yo, that's it for this video. I'm about to get off here. It's late. I had to put the video on full screen for a minute because my puppy was over there sleeping, and I had to take him to his room. Take him to put him in his kennel. Yo, y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. Do something for yourself. Relax. Yeah, everybody always do everything for everybody else. Get out and do something for yourself. Enjoy life. Take care of others, but take care of yourself. And if you're watching this on a replay, y'all make sure y'all check out whatever pops up on the screen, because there's going to be more content related to finance and attorney reactions. Y'all be blessed. I appreciate y'all.